doing what we're doing now, and they're not even very good at it. But the format is just so right that they're catching up to us. So we're back to being almost a 500 team club, which is exactly where I'd like to be anyway. The perfect season is 500. That's, as a parent, I know my kids are they're being pushed, but they're experiencing enough success. Undefeated is a waste of time, because I want my kid to be the best he can be down the road when it matters, not at 10U. But we said, wow, we weren't that smart. It really was the format. So if we're gonna get back out in front, we're gonna have to really amp up our game. So we implemented all kinds of small area games. We allowed the 8U to play outside associations. We took those divisional skills nights and we turned them into divisional practice plans. And what that means is one guy designs the practice plan for an entire age group, one person. And I thought our coaches were I thought I was gonna be lynched before. I was the one saying, are you guys sure this is what we want to do? And they said, we've thrown it out there and no one seems to be too against it. As it turns out, they were tremendously relieved, because they were struggling to get through their afternoon meeting and secretly trying to get a practice plan done while their boss is asking them about their sales numbers. Or they're stuck in traffic and they're going to be 5 minutes late, and they were in charge, and now the whole group is waiting on them. So what it allowed us to realize is that we are volunteers, and these folks want more help than we think that they do. So the real benefit for our kids, though, was our practice plans were all focused on skills, but we weren't necessarily seeing progression. Because in February, we were doing some of the same things we were doing in November. Because we were passing the responsibility around to different coaches. So we had lost what you have in one team, which is a coach kind of putting together a year-long syllabus. So we said, that's fine, we'll move back to that year-long syllabus, but there'll be one guy doing it for all the teams. And you can tweak based on a house kid versus a AA kid, but they're on the ice together at times. And that way, we build system-type tactics inside of skill-based drills from November to February, or frankly, September to February. And then we kicked off with Icebreaker Weekend, which is that video that you saw. That's not every Saturday at Kirkwood, and it's kumbaya. But what it does is, when we went to the point where what was in essence Mite development was now rolled out all the way through Pee Wee, we wanted all our families to understand what exactly that meant. And this is something that I think you should take away, if nothing else. Whatever changes you're going to institute, make them a big deal, meaning promote them, and then also show your parents what that means. So the Icebreaker Weekend, every team has practice Saturday and Sunday. They also do dry land Saturday and Sunday. On Saturday or Sunday, they have a nutritional component, and on the opposite day, they have a video component. And this is, Mom and Dad, what really 2 weeks of activities look like condensed into one weekend. So these are all the types of things we're offering your child playing here at Kirkwood, and we're gonna show you what all of those mean. And it won't always be this intense, like I said. Nutrition may be once a month, but these are the types of things that we're gonna have. We had speakers come in and talk to our parents who were interested, and then it ended with, you saw the kids playing kickball and burgers being flipped. It ended with a club-wide picnic. And I stood there and I thought, this is 5 years later, God, this feels good. I really was doing it for the kids, but at that moment it was for me. Because there were really 300 families, and they don't all agree with me, and they don't all believe in what we're doing, but they stopped fighting City Hall, and the silent majority gets to reign supreme. and it's a really happy place. It is an ideal hockey community. You feel the love, so to speak, because they realize that these coaches and these administrators really are in it for all the right reasons. And our biggest supporters are the people who have come to us from other associations. So I know that you are districted, but kids have the ability, and I understand that's one of the hotter topics, kids have the ability to move from one association to the other. Our biggest supporters are the folks who played somewhere else first and then say, they're seeing how we do it back at Southern Illinois. So there's a lot of work involved, but the payoff happened for me 5 years later. Here we are at 2014, and the gap hasn't widened back enough yet for me. So we are really focused on trying now, I should say we became a model association after those changes in 2012. So 2013 was our first season. So our goal now is to be the best of the 11 model associations, and there are probably going to be another 8 to 10, as I understand it, come on board this year. And if we can be the best of the model associations, I believe that gap in our town will widen again. So we've included professional dryland instruction. We've included the weekly practice plans, as I talked about. We are going back to tiering roster sizes because some of the house teams, those are kids who are just not as committed, and that's okay. We want them too. But allowing those teams to be a little bit larger in size because they tend to have more absenteeism. And we're taking the practice plans that were developed by a person, and we're giving them ahead of time as kind of a monthly syllabus so that when a coach is working a station, he's not coaching the drill, he's coaching the intent. So if he understands what the purpose of the drill was, then he can modify more intelligently based on what we're trying to achieve as opposed to this is where you're supposed to go. We're really trying to work on our kids having more hockey sense. And we're incorporating video training. And that's a wonderful thing to do because it doesn't mean you need to have a camera. It means we're focusing on these 3 skills, so let's find some NHL clips of guys doing it. Or there's plenty of parents who film every game still. Do they have anything, do you remember that time Jimmy did this? Do you happen to have that on tape? So I want to wrap up with the 3 things. Please lead passionately. And the best way to be passionate about it is to have the knowledge. It is so clear that what you want to do is the right thing. You're just up against inertia and tradition. But you'll have facts on your side. And they just have, yeah, but that's not how we did it. And we're pretty good now, so why change? That's it. That's all they have. Inundate them with facts, and eventually they'll give up because, all right, it's fine. I'm not going to convince you, and you're the one who has the whistle. Communicate frequently. Want their feedback, okay? There's probably a lot of anxiety about, you can all picture the 8 or 10 guys that you're going to go back to that are standing there like this and saying, I'm not going to do it, and maybe they're not even just standing there like this. Maybe they're more animated than that. Ask them, fine, this is what we want to do. What would you do? How would you do this in a way that you think would work? Get their buy-in. At the very least, say, here's what we're doing, and here's how you should hold me accountable. Measure me on this, not on that, and I'll do my best to live up to those criteria. And here's an important one because you're all administrators, right? The scuttlebutt will be intense. But I found if I never responded to anyone indirectly, it died off most of the times before it got to me. And by that I mean, I went out and I preached, and they didn't believe, but they knew where I was coming from, so they started to find other people to get in their ear. And those people would come to me and say, hey, he's saying this. That's fine, I'm not going to respond. If he comes to me directly, I'll respond. If you respond to that secondhand information, you're just rewarding them for that poor behavior. So if it's important enough, they'll come to you. But don't let that rumor mongering deter you from staying on task. So don't respond to the speculation. Have whoever's in charge provide some regular updates, and then empower your coaches with information so that they can provide more frequent updates to the more intimate level of their individual team. And then admit when you make mistakes or when there's still things you want to try. We are 7 years into this, and we haven't reached what my original proposal was. Like I said, I wanted cross-ice hockey to go through squirts and for it to all be in-house. And the board said, okay, but they said, there's no way we're going to go that far. So we're 7 years into this, and I'm still not where I want to be with this. I hope that doesn't sound daunting to anyone, but it is the reality of you're not going to change it all this year, nor should you. Inadvertently, I think we did it right by starting at the youngest ages. That has the least amount of resistance. But also then you just follow them up through the system and you implement the changes that you wanted to make for the older ages once the younger ages are there and they frankly don't know any different. And with that, I will turn it back over to you. And thank you again for your time this morning. And no, I guess I'm turning it over to these guys, and now I'm going to find out how dumb I am.